It was exactly 1 week after my 21st birthday when I got my first DUI. I haven't gotten another one since, but I'm not ruling anything out. My friend Lydia and I were on our way home from a night of heavy drinking, and were midway through the second chorus of Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody, when she punched me in the shoulder and slurred, "I think you're getting pulled over." Huh? I asked as I hurriedly readjusted my rear view mirror, which I'd been using in place of a compact. I lowered the volume on the radio and turned my head around for confirmation of what looked eerily similar to glaring red lights. Lydia was right. I was getting pulled over. Fuck. I've always had a fear of police officers, especially when their sirens are blaring and they're behind me. "Don't say anything," I ordered as I quickly slammed on the brakes and drove over the curb and into a stop sign. Lydia slurs when she's sober, never mind after 7 vodkas with cranberry juice. She also has a tendency to offend people who can help us. Earlier that evening, we had gone to a 70s revival bar in Westwood, where the bouncer wouldn't let us in unless we were on the list. "I'll handle this," she said, right before she laid into him. "What do you think, you're special because you're a bouncer? Police. You're not an authority figure, okay? You know you're just fat and stupid, right? Now, can we come in or what?" "Pretend you're sleeping," I barked at her as I saw 2 police officers get out of a patrol car. "You weren't doing anything. Tell me what proof." "I'm serious, Lydia. Shut up. Do not say a word and close your eyes. Please go to sleep." A burly officer in his late 30s approached my side of the car while his partner tapped the flashlight on Lydia's window, motioning for her to roll it down as he shined the flashlight in her face. Lydia had to open the door because the window didn't roll down. For my 21st birthday a week earlier, my father had shipped me a 1985 two-door Yugo with one working window. The year was 1996, and as luck would have it, the window that worked was on the driver's side in the back seat. Forgetting my window didn't roll down, I had tried on several occasions to throw a cigarette out of it, only to repeatedly slam my left hand into the glass. I had started physical therapy a few weeks prior in order to get some of the strength back in my hand, but was having trouble making a full recovery because, as the therapist said, my injury was, quote-unquote, highly unusual. "Hi, sir," I said to the policeman as I opened my door. "Sorry, my windows, they don't roll down." I was trying to keep one eye on my cop and one eye on Lydia, knowing that any chance I had of getting out of this situation was going to depend entirely on my performance. "License and registration," was his hello to me. "Sure," I slurred as I stood up, leaning one hand on my door. As I rifled through my purse for my license, I said to him, as articulately as I could, "Can you ask me why I pulled you over?" The officer smirked at his partner, who was asking Lydia to remain seated in the car, and then looked back at me. "I'm going to need you to step away from your vehicle, ma'am." "Ma'am?" I asked, trying to figure out how old I actually was, since I'd been lying about my age for some time in order to get into bars. I couldn't remember if I was legally or illegally drunk. "Where are you coming from, Miss Handler?" "Baja Fresh," Lydia yells from inside the car. My officer stared at me while I tried to think of anything that rhymed with Baja Fresh that would also be open at 2 in the morning. "Her cat died," I told my cop. "She's really tired." "Uh-huh. It says on your license." "Oh, shit," I said, and grabbed the license I'd given him to make sure it was mine and not the fake one that said I was my 26-year-old Mormon sister Sloan. It was my license. I handed it back to him. "Sorry. It says here that you live up the street," he continued as he pointed in the direction behind us. I realized then that I had just driven past my own apartment. "Tell him you want to make your phone call," Lydia screamed. "You haven't even asked me if I've been drinking." I paused. Then I leaned in with my index finger pointed at him because I haven't been, if that's what you're getting at. "Really?" he asked. "Nope, don't like the taste," I said matter-of-factly. "I had 2 drinks, that's all. Okay, 3 drinks. I had 3 drinks. "Tell him about your cold," Lydia crowed once more from the car, which was now 20 feet away from where we were standing. "She has a cold," I said, and then started again. "I mean, we both have colds. We've both taken a significant amount of Robitussin, so if there's anything on my breath, that's what you're smelling, okay? I caught my cold from a homeless person at one of the shelters downtown where I was volunteering." "Please stay in the car, ma'am," I heard the other officer say to Lydia as she once again tried to get out. "Go to sleep," I yelled back at her. Okay, Miss Handler, I'm going to need you to stand with your legs apart, your hands out, and your eyes closed. This sounded exactly as I had imagined my first DUI to sound, very authoritative and just like in the movies. I got into position and knew there was no chance I'd be arrested. I had practiced this procedure many times with Lydia late night in our apartment. Let me guess what's next, I giggled. Touch my nose with my index finger, I suppose. That's exactly right, he said. Have you done this before? Yeah, I told him. Plenty of times. Had they not come up with any new sobriety test moves in recent years? I actually felt bad for him for a minute. It was a shame that the police weren't smarter. I did what was asked of me, and then he told me to walk in a straight line with one foot in front of the other. My heels are too high, I told him. I wouldn't be able to do that sober. Well, you can either take them off or take a breathalyzer. You know what? You're turning into a real nightmare, I said as I leaned one hand on his large shoulder and took my heels off. Okay, you know what? I had one drink. One very small drink. This is when Lydia decided to slide over to the driver's side of the car and climb out. Ma'am, I told you to stay in the car, and if you don't listen, I'm going to have to handcuff you and read you your rights, her officer said. Lydia, stop it, I yelled. Sit down. Faggot, was her next attempt at mollifying the situation. All right, miss, said her officer as he whipped out his handcuffs. You've been warned, and now I'm placing you under arrest and taking you to jail. Upon hearing that, I immediately fell over and hit the pavement with one heel on and one heel off. I looked up at my officer, knowing this was not going the way I had planned. She always gets like this when she has a cold, plus with her dog dying and everything. Please don't arrest. He interrupted me as he helped me to my feet. I thought it was her cat. It's a hybrid, I mumbled as I looked down at my freshly pedicured toes, wondering why they couldn't all just be the same length. Miss, you can either take a breathalyzer here, or we can test your urine down at the station. Which would you prefer? That depends, I said. Is there any way to detect marijuana through a breathalyzer? Lydia was now sobbing heavily while also screaming obscenities at her cop as she was being escorted into their squad car. Let's go, he said. We'll take you downtown for a urine test. No, I said. I don't even have to go to the bathroom. Fine, he said, and went to retrieve the invention I now feel immense hatred for. The breathalyzer is second only to the answering machine, which has led to 3 separate breakups. It turned out that I was, in fact, intoxicated. I blew a 2.4, which far exceeds the legal limit of 0.8. Once handcuffed in the squad car next to Lydia, my blood really began to boil. So this is how it's going to go down, huh? You can't just turn around, drive the 50 yards back to my house, and drop us off. No, of course not, because I fought the law, and the law won. After a pause, I murmured, racist, under my breath, loud enough for both of them to hear. The officer in the passenger seat turned around with a confused look on his face. We're all white. Whatever, I said. Well, still, was Lydia's comeback. I'm Jewish, I told them. No response. Did you hear me? I said. This is racial profiling, and I won't be a party to it. You need to let me out of the car. Anti-Samoans, Lydia screams. You girls will be released when you sober up. You will be charged with a DUI, Miss Handler, and your friend will be charged with being drunk and disorderly. Would you like us to add obstruction of justice to those charges, or would you two like to be quiet until we get down to the station? There better be air conditioning there, I mumbled. We're going to prison, Lydia bawled. She was still sobbing heavily. Don't worry, just calm down, okay? My father's an attorney. No, he's not, Lydia replied. Shut up, I growled. What's going to happen to my car? I asked officers. It will be impounded, he said. Oh, more great news.